In the misty highlands of Sulawesi, there is a place where death does not come to end a story. It moves in, lives beside you, and is loved for years. This is Tana Toraja, where families keep their deceased at home. Funerals last for days. Cliffs hold wooden guardians. And if you believe the legends, the dead can even walk. Tonight, we step gently into a living conversation between the Torajan people and their ancestors. The Toraja are an indigenous people of South Sulawesi, Indonesia. Their villages, marked by soaring boat-shaped houses called tongkonan, sit among rice terraces and limestone cliffs. For Torajans, death is not a sudden wall. It's a slow crossing toward Puya, the land of souls. And until that crossing is complete, love continues in very practical, everyday ways. When a Torajan person dies, the family often does not bury them immediately. Instead, the deceased may remain at home for months or even years dressed, visited, spoken to, and treated as someone who is ill asleep. Families bring meals, coffee, and cigarettes and keep them company. This waiting period allows relatives to gather and, crucially, to save for the monumental funeral to come. To preserve the body, modern families commonly use formalin injections, a local adaptation that replaced older techniques. This prolonged care reflects Torajan beliefs that social obligations to the deceased must be fulfilled before the soul departs. It is not a denial of death, it is a duty of love. When the time is right, the family announces Rambu Solo, a multi-day funeral that can draw hundreds or thousands of mourners. These ceremonies are extraordinary public events. Processions, chanting, exchanges of gifts, and the dramatic arrival of the coffin on an elaborately carved bier. Buffalo are central. In Toraja belief, water buffalo help carry the soul swiftly to Puya. The number sacrificed sometimes many signals the family's status and fulfills obligations that bind communities together. Particular breeds such as the mottled Tadong Bonga are prized, and funerals can be financially overwhelming. One reason families wait years to host them. Animal sacrifice here is not spectacle. It is a sacred exchange with deep spiritual and social meaning in Toraja cosmology. International coverage often focuses on the shock. Locals speak of duty, honor, and care. After Rambu Solo, the dead are carried to eternal homes, rock-cut tombs and cliffs like Lemo and Landa, natural caves or family mausoleums. Hanging coffins and boat-shaped dorong appear in some places, echoing very old traditions across island Southeast Asia. On the cliff balconies stand Taotao carved wooden effigies that represent the deceased. Older Taotao are stylized. Newer ones can look strikingly lifelike. They face outward, watching over the living and signaling lineage and status. Many are carved from jackfruit wood, prized for weathering to a skin-like hue. Another poignant custom, now largely discontinued, is the tree burial of infants, pasaliran, at places like Kambira. Babies who died before teething were interred in a living tree, so that, as the bark healed, the child could symbolically continue to grow. Today, these sites are historical and visited with reverence. Years after burial, some Torajan families hold many a tender family reunion with the dead. Coffins are opened, ancestors are carefully brushed, dressed in fresh clothes, and walked into the daylight to be photographed with grandchildren and nieces and nephews who never met them in life. It is affectionate, not macabre, a seasonal act of care that refreshes bonds and preserves memory. International photo essays often spotlight Manin's striking visuals, but Torajans emphasize its quieter meaning, gratitude, continuity, and belonging. You've likely seen viral posts claiming that Torajans make the dead walk to their graves. Here's the careful truth. Torajan tradition holds powerful stories about the dead traveling, sometimes described in ritual language or legend. But anthropologists and long-term observers stress that sensational walking corpse Videos are staged or misinterpreted for tourists and the internet age. They conflate poetic belief with a literal movement. In practice, families carry their loved ones. Bodies do not walk themselves. So while corpse walking is a compelling legend in the Toraja story world, credible reporting and scholarship show no evidence that it occurs as a literal practice today. Holding both myth and reality in view is essential to respecting Toraja's spirituality without feeding stereotypes. Torajan ritual life historically follows a Tadolo, the way of the ancestors, with a ceremonial calendar and rules handed down through generations. Over the past century, most Torajans also became Christian, yet ancestral mortuary rites remain central, often celebrated alongside church life. The result is not contradiction, but a layered identity that honors both community and continuity. Tana Toraja welcomes visitors, but funerals are family events. If you go, ask permission, follow your guide's lead, dress modestly, offer a small condolence gift if appropriate, and always prioritize the family's privacy over your photos. Remember, you're stepping into someone's grief and their love. Perhaps what Toraja shows the world is this: grief doesn't end when the breath does. It cooks rice and pours coffee. It saves for years to say a proper goodbye. It dresses the past in fresh clothes, lifts it into the sunlight, and smiles for a photo, not to forget, but to remember well. In Tana Toraja, the line between the living and the dead is not a fence to keep out sorrow. It is a bridge built out of duty, devotion, and enduring love.